Hello, sports fans, and welcome to the Scott Sports 101 early games, post-game show, late games, pre-game show. The Browns and Colts are well underway with a minute 33 to go left in the first quarter. They're trailing 7-3 right now. It's 3rd and 2 at the Indianapolis 6. Hopefully the Browns will get the win today, and then we'll go to 4-1. And I'm going to talk about the Browns game, and I'll give my thoughts. I'll break it down. And I'm going to go over all the late games, all the early game action, and I'll give my thoughts about today's game between the Browns and Colts. But first, here is today's Scott Sports 101 NFL Football Sunday Trivia question. What two teams use the same field for home games? I'll have the answer later on the podcast. It's week 5 of the NFL season, and we have great NFL action this week. I'm going to talk about all of that of today's games in just a moment. But first, I am going to talk about the 3-1 Cleveland Browns, who will look to go to 4-0 as they are taking on the Indianapolis Colts right now at First Energy Stadium here in Cleveland. Nick Chubb is still out with a MCL injury, and he was ruled out. He was put on injured reserve earlier this week. So Kareem Hunt will be starting on offense today. Carl Joseph is going to rest his hamstring injury. Ronnie Harrison could start, and I think he probably will. And Larry Obijobi and Greedy Williams were ruled out for today's game against the Colts. After an inspiring 49-38 win over the Dallas Cowboys in Week 4, the Browns sit at 3-1 for the first time in nearly 20 years. While it was easy to see a shootout was going to be brewing in Big D, this week presents an entirely different challenge as the 3-1 Indianapolis Colts come to town, and they're playing. The Colts and Browns are playing right now. Led by the league's top-ranked defense, the Browns will have to adapt from the track meet slugfest against the Colts, and will have to do so without star running back Nick Chubb, who was placed on injured reserve earlier this week, as I mentioned, with an MCL injury. Coach Kevin Stefanski has shown tremendous preparation and adaptability from week to week to attack the weakness and mitigate the strengths of each opponent. He will need to do so again this week against the Colts, who have not allowed more than 11 points during their 3-game winning streak. Now let's look at how to keep this win streak alive in this week's win mix. Number 1 is another clean sheet for Baker Mayfield. Since week 1, Baker Mayfield has completed 67.1% of his passes, thrown 6 touchdowns with 1 interception, and has quarterback rating of 108.4. His quarterback rating has been 100 or better in every game during the Browns' 3-game winning streak, and he has not thrown an interception in either of his last 2 starts. Extending that interception free streak will be a tall task, but a critical one against the Colts. Indianapolis currently leads the NFL with 7 interceptions, making its number 1 ranked pass defense all the more formidable. Avoiding turnovers has been key to the Browns' winning streak. On Sunday, minimizing costly mistakes against the ball, hawking the Colts will be priority number one for Mayfield. After all, the Browns are 8-2 when Mayfield does not throw an interception, so a clean sheet for quarterback number one is clearly a winning formula. Now, number two is force Phillip Rivers to beat you outside of the numbers. If you had T.E. Mo Alie-Cox pegged to be the Colts' leading receiver after 4 games, you were among the few. Alie-Cox leads the Colts with 194 yards and 2 touchdowns on 11 catches, while averaging a whopping 17.6 yards per catch. He also leads all tight ends with 3 catches of 25 yards and has really dominated the middle of the field. When thrown to over the middle, Alie-Cox has caught 6 of his 7 targets for 99 yards and 1 touchdown. Keeping the tabs on Alie-Cox has to be a main focus for the Browns on defense. Thus far, tight ends have scored 4 times in 4 games against the Browns and are averaging 7 catches and 69 yards per game. The Colts do not have a single wide receiver averaging more than 50 yards per game or 13 yards per catch this year. Rivers is doing his best work in the middle of the field, and that is hurting the productivity of his outside receivers, especially T.Y. Hilton. When targeting Hilton outside the numbers and to the right, Rivers has completed just 4 of 10 attempts for 41 yards and 1 interceptions. Rivers, who is still completing 73% of his passes overall in 2020, is dangerous in his comfort zone, but struggles to make some of the longer throws that require him to really drive the ball. For example, on passes of 10 to 19 yards in the air, Rivers is 13 of 18 for 233 yards with a quarterback rating of 114.4. When working the middle of the field, on throws of 10 to 19 yards in the air outside the numbers, he is 9 of 17 for 152 yards. 1 interception and quarterback rating of 44. Defensive coordinator Joe Woods must try to lock down the middle of the field and force Rivers to drive the ball to the outside against the Browns. A talented cornerback duo of Denzel Ward and Terrence Mitchell. Third down efficiency on both sides of the ball, and that's number 3. Third down efficiency on both sides of the ball. Third down is the money down in the NFL, and what figures to be a lower scoring game than recent Browns contests. They will take on an even greater importance. In the Browns' Week 1 loss to the Ravens, they converted on just 3 of 12 third downs, 25%. During the 3-game winning streak, the Browns have converted on 15 of 33 downs, 45.5%. To put that on context, the top third down team in the NFL is currently the Kansas City Chiefs at 53.9% and 45.5%, with a rank of 11th overall through 4 weeks. The Browns will be challenged by the Colts defense, which ranked number 1 in the NFL by allowing just 31.1% of their opponents' third downs to be converted. Now, the best thing the Browns could do is avoid third downs altogether, and which they have been excellent at this year. But when they do come up, the Browns must convert to extend the drives and put points on the board. When the Colts have the ball, it is imperative to the Browns to stout on the early downs and force them into as many third down situations as possible. So far, the Colts rank 30th in the NFL, generating first downs in just 34.6% of their third down opportunities. Unfortunately, third down has been the Achilles heel for the Browns defense this year, as they are surrendering first downs 49% of the time, the 7th worst mark in the NFL. It will take all 11 men on the Browns defense to tighten up on these critical downs to make the stand and get the ball back for the offense. The team that comes out on top of third down situations Sunday will have a definite advantage when it comes to the final score. Now, if the Browns defense can really get the ball back for the offense, and if the offense can really do their job, and then I feel the Browns are going to get the win. And right now, the Browns are in the lead 10-7 in the second quarter with 14:06 left to go until halftime. 1st and 10 at the Indianapolis 30. I will have the early game scores in just a moment, but right now it's time to reveal the answer to today's Scott Sports 101 NFL Football Sunday trivia question. What two teams use the same field for home games? And if you said the New York Jets and the New York Giants, you are correct. The New York Jets and the New York Giants both play their home games at the same field in New Jersey, which is, of course, MetLife Stadium. I'll have another trivia question on my next podcast, so stay tuned for that. Right now, we're going to go over all the early game action from all of today's early game action. Right now, we're going to do that. And we're going to go back to the Thursday night game first. The Chicago Bears beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by 20-19 at Soldier Field, and I gotta admit, the Bears look good, and they really dominated this game. And it was a good game for most of the night, but the Bears went ahead and they were able to kick a game-winning field goal. And this was not a high-scoring game; it was a low-scoring game, as we all thought it was going to be. But the Bears were able to kick a game-winning field goal, and they got the win. The Houston Texans beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 30-14 at NRG Stadium in Houston. And for the I gave game balls out, and there were for the Bears game, Nick Foles, Allen Robinson, David Montgomery, Jimmy Graham, and Carrillo Santos. And I give my game ball for the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars game to Deshaun Watson. The Baltimore Ravens just manhandled the Cincinnati Bengals 27-3 at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. I give it to Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews, and Mark Ingram. The Panthers beat the Carolina Panthers beat the Atlanta Falcons 23-16 at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Atlanta falls to 0-5, and they still are looking for their first win of the season. The LA Raiders in a big upset win over the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium 40-32. And boy, was that one heck of a game there. Boy, I thought the Chiefs were going to get that one. The Arizona Cardinals beat the New York Jets 30-10 at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And I give for the Raiders game, I give it to Derek Carr, and I give the Panthers quarterback the game ball for that one. And I give it to Kyler Murray for the Jets Cardinals game. I have two more picks. I'll announce those when I come back. Stay with them. Stay with